Scott, as a leader or even an emerging leader, what do you feel is important to have control over right now in these very uncontrollable times in terms of leadership qualities?
You know, the only thing that we have in literally that we control is our reputations. I think one of the strongest characteristics of an effective leader is how well they listen. Because most people, you can see their gears spinning when you're talking to them, so you know and they're thinking about what they're going to be replying as opposed to what you're actually saying. And I have certainly been guilty of that for many, many, many years myself. And all I'm saying now is, now I find it's more advantageous and certainly more rewarding to just stay in the moment and, like me, let the council, say whatever they're going to say, or the gaming commission, the entities the circles I revolve in, and pay attention to what they're saying, and maybe sometimes even pay attention to what they're not saying, and be consistent about making decisions in the best interest of the business. I have always found it easier to be consistently predictable when it comes to what people are going to think. And all I mean by that is, if the people that report to me, they don't have to wonder what I'm going to think. They already know how I approach a business, why I do what I do, and I'm happy to explain that. But I think for people that are coming up in our industry, it looks cool, and but it's always different when you get in those positions, because these types of positions, or even directors levels positions, there's definitively stuff that you had no idea that they have to do, that you go, and public speaking is one of them. And I think you and I were talking about this at the beginning. A lot of people are paralyzed with fear about public speaking, and I can tell you, I definitively was one of them. I had no idea that when my first manager job, that my first indoctrination into management, or certainly one of the first, was I had to do a presentation to 500 people, and I have never done any public speaking in my life. Thank God I still drank then, because that's the only thing that got me through that moment. So, believe it or not, the second year was worse than the first year, because I had stopped consuming alcohol. So I went up there and I sounded just like, this will be dated, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I sounded just like Urkel. I couldn't get my voice. I couldn't get control over myself, and and the nerves just got to me. And so anyway, there's always things that you have to do that you may not have wanted to do, but stay in the moment, adapt, and prevail. It happens to all of us. All of us have gone through those moments of sheer terror. I know. So that was one of them. The other moment of pure panic was the first time I had to deal on a live blackjack game.
Yes. How did you go there?
Oh, I sweated profusely. It was and at that point I had I had a lot of management experience in it, but it wasn't about that. It was about that kind of entertainment, a lot of dynamics, a lot of interaction, social dynamics, math dynamics, and it was the most terrifying. It was more terrifying to me than the public speaking, but it was also one of the most rewarding things I ever did do.
Well, you mean you got a good tip?
No, I was too bad for that.
You know what? Those kind of experiences are humbling, aren't they? When you see what people that work, some of our team members have to work with every single day, and the skill that it requires, it's very humbling when you have to do it, right?
Well, and it makes, like now, I appreciate the position, the employees or associates are in, because most of those jobs I've done myself. So, I think that's really, I don't think you can emphasize the importance of that, is having empathy for the employees that, So working as a blackjack dealer on Friday and Saturday night at 9, 10 o'clock at night is not for the faint of heart.
Mm.
You have to you have to have a definitive mentality about willing to immerse yourself in that kind of environment, and being introverted doesn't fit into that equation.